Hey guys, it's Shadow, and welcome to the first episode of the Sims 4 business build. Now, today we are going to be doing a business called David's Modern Feast. Who is David, you ask? Well, David is actually our new testing sim for any kind of builds that we do. And this happens to be the version of David that is a rich businessman. Now, he is just kind of looking to buy out any business that he can, or he will make his own business or whatever he needs to do to get the profits. So, yeah. So, he's making his first appearance. So, that's interesting. So, this build is kind of like a modern, it's like a modern formal restaurant. You have to be kind of a powerful person to be at this restaurant, if you will. And you have to dress formal, so that's a thing. Now, I don't know, I played around a lot with the roofing to try to figure out what looked good and what didn't look good, so I just kind of did what I could. Now, the roof could be better, I will admit that, but you know what, it's not that bad, so I'm just gonna move on with it, I guess. I don't know. I was playing around a lot with these roofs, just trying to make everything work, but some things did work, some things didn't, and I don't know, I kind of did what I could. So there is this fountain in the front that I really like, and I ended up using, around the whole building actually, I ended up using those stones and the little cactus plants to give it kind of a unique look, a simplistic feel, and that's more or less kind of what I was going for, so I like how that turned out. Now, I used pretty simple siding on it. I used some kind of rocky sides. I used some paneling, and then I also used a different color paneling, a different style of paneling as well. But as you can see, I used a couple different panels at first, and some things worked and some things didn't. And I just noticed something that I need to... Oh, well, I can do that. I didn't know I could do that. Apparently I can edit things while I'm recording. That's really, really neat. I like that. So, yeah, I reworked this little pool a couple different times just to make everything look more natural and more simplistic and whatnot. And I ended up using, I used a little waterfall there at the front, but I also used these little, like, those ball fountains or whatever you want to call them. They're like spherical, but they have like one fountain coming out of the top of it, and I like how that looks, so I think I'm going to leave it that way. Obviously I'm going to leave it that way. I'm done with the build. So whenever I was finished with this build, I did a lot of I wouldn't say simple testing. I did a lot of testing with it. I played around a lot with it in the game and made sure everything was working. I believe the restaurant is actually at 3.5 stars right now, but I don't really know how to use a restaurant yet, so that's the only reason it's probably not 5 stars, probably the only reason. But yeah, I used a lot of these very simple modern windows all throughout the build, and I also used that door right there just because. Now, I couldn't really think of a good window to put here, so I ended up using that little square window. Now, I also did end up raising the floor just a little bit on the entire building, just so I can get more of an edge, so it looks like the porch is kind of raised up, and then there's also a little walkway to the front door, and I just kind of like how all of it turned out. Now, I did try to make the place look as modern as I could. Some places maybe doesn't look as modern as other areas. Some of it on the inside, once I started building, some of it looked more kind of like retro / modern. Actually, I don't think I meant to leave this in, but it's kind of whatever. I think I had a problem with placing items or something like that. I don't remember. But yeah, I just kind of... I didn't really place these here. I was just kind of using this little area right here to design something that I was looking up from Google. And then I ended up doing it on the other side of the restaurant over here. And then kind of continuously changed the style as I was going. But either way, I like how it turned out. Now, I wanted to use a divider in this restaurant, and I couldn't find a good one that would fit. So I ended up using the half wall with the glass panels at the top of it, just to keep things simple. Now, I did place more tables here in the middle, just mainly because I wanted more eating places. But once I started playing around with this in the game, I realized that really I didn't need more eating places, because I think I have something like 44 eating places. There's places that have never been used, and I don't think they'll ever be used unless the place is completely packed. So that, like, if you're making a restaurant, tip for you would be, don't make your restaurant too complex. Like, you can have a lot of chairs and a lot of seats in there. Just don't have too many. Don't have upwards of like 40. I'd say most that you need would maybe be like 20, even though the most I've gotten in the restaurant was maybe like 15 people. It's still just a suggestion, hopefully, to keep down the volume in your restaurant. So, as you can see here, I was kind of recoloring things. I think I ended up using one of the pre-rendered rooms that they have in the game, prefab rooms, whatever, and kind of took the colors from that. And I do, in fact, like how it turned out. It's very pretty, very modern slash kind of classic, I guess you can say. So, yeah, I don't know. I just kind of went through that. Now, the entrance in this area, honestly, I should have reworked it, because I've noticed one thing is that people kind of cluster at the entrance and just kind of stay there until the host comes back. So, yeah, but I don't know. I was trying to figure out a way to get these cabinets to work together with the bar that matches it, but it all kind of worked out in the end. You had to kind of free place it for it to all work together. But either way, it did work, and that's what I like about it. I thought, honestly, it would mess up the placement of like bar stools and stuff if I free placed it like this, but it worked out fine. Now, I ended up using these kind of like one half wall and then two full walls to kind of make a unique area. Now, I ended up placing quite a few decorations in this little area. Used a flower there. Although I say quite a few, and then I'm like, oh, I used a flower. There's more that I put in, so yeah. Now I ended up placing these two flat screen TVs. They're the only TVs in the whole restaurant, because I wanted it to be more modern, like you're focusing on what you're eating and your discussion with your friends and stuff. Now I did end up putting these curtains here as kind of little accents. And straight up, I really like how this looks. Like, it just kind of adds more of a modern feel to it, and it adds more colors that it didn't have. So that's one of the main things I like about it. Now, I used a lot of prefabs in this. I'm assuming that I'll probably end up using a lot of prefabs in the future, just because they're easy to use and they're always kind of built for you. Like, not too much, but they're there for you to use, and that's what I like. So I'm going to use those, maybe more in the future, maybe less, I don't know. It depends on the build. Now, I used this section of the building for this kind of theme, but I kind of did different themes throughout the building, so you'll see that as it goes. Now, I believe I ended up messing up some of the prefab here, but I corrected it, so I don't feel too bad about it. Now, I think I ended up using a little aquarium. I wouldn't say a little, it's a big aquarium, but I placed it against that wall just so people could look at it, and then I realized that you can see it through the bar. And to me, I was like, holy crap, that's really cool. I'm glad I thought about that. Now, moving on to the porch out here, this was actually a really hard part, and it still really is a hard part. I had to end up, in the end, I moved them out of the building, or not out, what am I talking about? I don't know. I moved the tables to where like only 3 chairs of the 4 chairs are usable. As you can see right there, they're very close together, and I figured out there was a problem where someone, if they were to get out of their chair on the left side, I believe it is, right side depending on which chair you're in, they would get stuck in between those 4 chairs and they wouldn't be able to move, and I was having to move the table out every time I had to close down the restaurant. So yeah, my little tip is maybe take away 1 chair and maybe they can walk out or find something else, I don't know. But one problem I did run into while I was making this little grass area right here is I really could not find a grass pattern that matched up with the default grass, so I just kind of made the front look more modern, like perfect grass, and then the rest of it was just kind of like blended out into it, because I wasn't going to do it across the whole lot, otherwise it wouldn't blend properly with the outside grass. Now the video skipped there. It skips a lot in this because I don't know, there was a lot of things that I had going on and I had to keep stopping and restarting and whatnot, but it's fine. It's fine. Now, as you can see, the little hostess area right here is kind of small as crap. I guess that's a technical term for that, small as crap. Now, whenever they walk through, they tend to bunch up so bad that they walk behind the hostess counter. To me, that doesn't make any sense, but yeah, I don't know, it's kind of a thing. So, one of the problems I had in this was trying to find a theme that would fit throughout the rest of the restaurant, all the areas that weren't used, and I was only able to put one bathroom here, mainly because I just didn't think about it. Honestly, I should have put the restrooms down in the basement where the chef station stuff is. Speaking of which, I don't know where I start doing that, if I even do it in the video. I don't remember. Oh, I do. Yay. Okay, good. So I ended up placing 4 chef stations. I think you can only have 3 chefs at a restaurant. Don't quote me on that, because I am not a perfectionist at the Dine Out game or the Dine Out DLC yet. But from what I've seen, it looks like you're only able to have 3 chefs. Now I have 2 chefs available in the version that I have that I've been playing with, and it works out pretty darn good so far. You really don't even see the chefs. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but either way, I tried to make this kitchen in the back here look more kind of like a kitchen they would use for a actual like cooking kitchen. Say if you were at a restaurant or something, like kind of like you actually are, because this is David's Modern Feast. So I don't know, that's just a little thing. I was trying to make everything look kind of one style, make it all kind of blend together perfectly. Now, I used a lot of decorations that I had from that prefab in here just to make it look more unique, make it look like an actual kitchen that's supposed to be worked on. And I put a lot of like food storage in this corner just to make sure that it all looked like a real kitchen. Now, the chefs don't really move from their spot, so I wasn't too worried about that kind of thing. But here I am kind of decorating the rest of the restaurant. Now I used another prefab, which added, 12 more seats, which I've seen nobody use these tables, I don't believe. And that kind of sucks, because I really like this little part of the restaurant, but it's fine. I do have a lot of people that use the bar as a table, and that doesn't really work, because it doesn't count as a table. At least not to the game, but, you know, it's kind of whatever. So at this point I was finishing up the build, getting some more of those flowers along the side to make the whole building kind of go together in one theme. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, please leave a like and comment, and I hope I see you guys in the next one. So bye!